Hi, my name is Martin Perez, and in this video I'm going to show you how the Tropo's Web API for Java works. We are going to create a very simple application, an IVR system from Java, from Eclipse, using this library, and you'll see how easy it is. This library is available on GitHub, so you've got there all the source code, and there is also plenty of unit tests that also show, little snippets of code and how to do things. There is tons of them, so be sure to check them out. So the first thing we're going to do in Eclipse is to create our project. It is going to be a dynamic web project. We can call it Tropo simple IVR, and I'll add this to the working set, and yeah, there we go, finish. Let me go to the Java perspective. So yeah, the first thing we are going to do now, after we've created the project, is to populate all the libraries. We need to add here the Tropo Web API for Java jar file and also all its dependencies. So I'm going to grab all these files from here, from the project, Tropo Web API project. Now, okay, yeah, let me grab them. Yeah, first Web API, and now all its dependencies. There we go. Okay, so now all the jar files are in here. What you can do is basically pull the project to your disk, or you can go to the dist folder and download from here all the jar files, like the Web API jar file, and also here you can find the dependencies in the dependencies folder. Okay, so we are ready to go. We can now create our first servlet. So I'm going to call it IVR servlet, and com.tropo.simple.ivr, for example, as package name. So as I'm using a 3.0 project, I can use annotations. This is quite handy. So I'm going to create a web servlet, and I'm deploying it on the IVR URL. Servlet has to extend HTTP servlet. And now this is important. In a web API application, basically how it works is that Tropo receives a call and is going to forward that call to your servlet. And this is important because Tropo is going to send you a post request. So if you, for example, are overwriting the doGet method, this wouldn't work because you never get a get request from Tropo. It's always a post request. So I'm going to overwrite, in this case, the service method that covers both post and gets, but just bear that in mind because it's quite important. So yeah, rename the args, and yeah, the web API, basically the main object within is Tropo. So you import com.foxio.tropo object, and this object encapsulates all the messaging, all the operations, and also the JSON artifacts. It allows you to build applications in a very meaningful way. Like, for example, we can do something like tropo.say hello. Let's go back. Yeah, hello, how are you? And finally, what I do is I render that object to the response. So you see, this is pretty trivial. I'm going to write my servlet, and next what I'm going to do is to run my application in Tomcat. So I've got this embedded Tomcat, so there we go. Yeah, restart it. So it'll take a while probably. The first time you deploy the application, it takes a few seconds because it needs to load all the libraries, but later is much quicker. Okay, so yeah, there is nothing here because there is no index.html. So how can you test that is working? Basically accessing to our servlet, to our IVR servlet. So if I enter here, see there is this pop-up because it doesn't, the Eclipse embedded browser doesn't know how to handle JSON. So what I can do is go to Chrome or to another browser and go to that URL, and yeah, so this is the JSON basically that has been rendered. So now we've got ready our application. What we need to do is go to Tropo, create a Tropo application and point that application to our server. So okay, I've already done that for the sake of the speed of this video, but basically you create a web API application, you give it a name, and the most important thing is that you need to point your application to your server. In this case you need a public IP, either a public IP address or a public domain, but it's something that the Tropo servers has to be able to reach. I'm using the 9080 port, but you can use the standard 80 port or whatever port you want to use. And I'm going to use Skype for this test because it is much easier, but you can also link phone numbers to your application. So you can grab your phone. I'm using a Spanish phone number from here, but you can use phones for any, any use area or any international country. There's tons of them, so that's really cool, just to call and have your application running on your local computer. That is really great. Okay, so we're ready to go. Basically what I'm going to do now is to call this phone. Let me open Skype, and I've already got the phone here, IVR test, so I'm going to call it.
How are you?
So there you go. So we got the hello, how are you message, and it's actually working. And this is great. There'll be lots of pop-ups of the friends of Boxio here speaking, but yeah, we'll keep going. So you've seen how easy it is to get a voice application. Now we are going to create a much more difficult example. In this case, a much more complex project. I'm going to copy the project from here because otherwise it will take, well, it wouldn't take much longer, but it'll take some time. So I'm going to copy and paste it, and you'll see everything is really easy. Actually, let me copy the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. So this is the new IVR servlet. It's pretty much like it was, with a couple of additions basically. So I'm doing a say like, welcome to our company, please enter the number of the department you wish to be forwarded to. That's fine. And now I do an ask. Now the ask has to have a name, then you can specify bargain, you can specify the mode, TTMF or voice, you can specify a timeout for the answer, and then an attempts. So if after the timeout you don't get an answer, the message will be played again and things like that. So this is the timeout, like sorry I didn't hear anything, and then tries, retries. And then there is this say. It says press 1 for customer support, press 2 for sales, etc, etc, and finally we want the user to enter 1 digit. So you see this a very nice DSL, very easy to understand, like an ask, and inside there is a say for the timeout, and another say, and then do a choice, enter 1 digit. And also this is interesting because what we're going to do is, once we finish the ask, we basically issue an on event. So we say on continue you go to redirect. Now what is redirect? Well, we basically need to create redirect. Let me change the package. So yeah, simple IVR. So it goes to redirect. So we need to create the redirect servlet. So we create that new class, like redirect servlet, simple IVR, finish. And I've got the redirect servlet also here. Copy it. And okay, so this is the redirect servlet. As you see, it's deployed in redirect, in the redirect URL. It's also a web servlet. And it's pretty much the same. What we do is Tropo. Then the difference here is that we are receiving a request from Tropo, and basically Tropo is sending us the output from the previous operation. So what we do is we parse the request into a Tropo result object. Now, we basically can query that result for actions. In this case, I can say, okay, give me the action of that result, and then I say, okay, give me the value. In this case, as the user is typing a number, the value will basically be the number that the user has typed in his phone, his or her phone. So depending on the choice, we are going to basically say a message. We could do things, instead of saying message, we could do things like Tropo transfer to another phone, like whatever, 1111, and you know, you can create more meaningful applications than just saying things. What I'm going to do for the sake of this test is just say a message depending on the number that the user has typed in, and then what I'm going to do is play a song. So like, okay, we're going to transfer your call, wait, and you hear a song, and finally hang up. So you see how the logic is pretty similar. Build a Tropo object, in this case we parse the result, and finally we render the response. So it is pretty easy. So yeah, let me save the servlet and let it deploy. I'm not sure if has been deployed already. So we are going to call the application and see how it goes.
To our company, please enter the number of the departments you wish to be forwarded to.
Okay.
Press number 1 for customer support. Press number 2 for sales. Press number 3 for emergencies. Press number 4 for any other thing.
Okay, so number 2.
Thank you. We are going to redirect you now to one of our sales agents.
And here is the music. And now we will stop the call because the music is 3 minutes longer. So we don't want to wait. As you'll see, it's pretty easy. The DSL is very rich. There is tons of examples. I'll show you where they are in the website, and that is really handy. Like if we go to a SRC and we go to test, we go to Java, and then here com.voxio.tropo, and yeah, so there is here tests, several tests for all different verbs like record or redirect or save. If we go to the save, for example, you can find here loads of different samples of the DSL. And yeah, I think that it is. I really hope you like this example, and hope you have fun with Tropo.